Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harpin on Rugby preview show. And joining me to look ahead to Friday's Autumn Nation Series marquee matchup at the Aviva Stadium is someone back earning his 96th Harpin cap. A
Ooh.
warm welcome back to Mr. Neil Keego Keegan.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is on this little spinning globe. Hope you're well.
Yeah, you're speaking to us from a different time zone this week. You're stateside where nothing is happening at all.
Absolutely, it's been the calmest time in the stateside
Quiet week,
ever.
quiet week.
Nothing's been going on.
Yeah,
Everyone is fine. Everyone is happy.
brilliant.
Looking forward to Friday.
That's what you want. Okay, listen, Keego, just before we look at the test rugby first, maybe get your quick thoughts on Leinster's overall season so far. I've been 6 rounds in.
Yeah, you can't really go wrong. 6 from 6. The questions we had early in the season around the number 10 jersey have been answered. A couple of questions relating to injuries, but I think, 6 games in, 6 good performances. And things changed towards the second half of that block where we were getting the points in the second half. So I think, without damaging ourselves, 6 from 6 has been immense. And we started strong.
Yeah, after the way the last 3 seasons went, especially the last 3 May and June portions of the season, we just wondered like what do we want? What can we expect from that portion of the season? The way it went, there were, like you say, there were ups and downs, but the points and where we are in the log, you can't ask for more. You just have to push on and then leave it behind and hope to continue that when they come back. But anyway, listen, now it's time to look at our feature match of the week, which is, of course, Ireland v New Zealand in week 1 of the 2024 Autumn Nations Series. By the way, in case you're wondering why I said week 1 and you think it should be week 2, apparently, even though there were matches last week, according to the powers that be, that was officially week 0. So we'll leave that to them to explain why that is. Anyway, this game is taking place at the Aviva Stadium on Friday, November the 8th, kicking off at 8:10 p.m. TV coverage is on Virgin Media 1 and TNT Sports 1. Ireland named their matchday squad on Wednesday afternoon. If you're watching on YouTube, it should be right there on the screen, or for pod listeners, you'll find it in the program notes. First thing Keego wants to talk about is our back row.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff, and it's interesting the selection they've made in the back row with Byrne there at 6, which is brilliant. It shows that there's athleticism that they want to fire out against the All Blacks. I think we're going to be trying to move the ball even quicker from every single position as possible. I think Byrne being on the pitch is immense. I think we got to get our best players out there, and it's unfortunate that Pete isn't there, but he would have been in camp helping everybody. But that back row is massively, massively athletic, and they're really going to put some pressure on the All Blacks.
Yeah, I mean, we had guests on at the weekend from around all the provinces, so we had a little chat about who we thought might be playing against the All Blacks, and the question of O'Mahony came up, and is there a way to get him in? I think the kind of consensus is I think it's important for him to be in the squad for sure. But I think that doing it this way with Ryan and McCarthy starting and Tyg Byrne in that 6 jersey, I think that's good to get us a foothold into the game. But just
Yeah.
having O'Mahony, his impact off the bench, his overall leadership, just his presence in the dressing room, his presence just standing there, standing for the anthems, all that stuff. That's he lifts the players around him. So it was good to get him in that squad, but still left us with a really effective back row as well going against the All Blacks. So I think it's a good combination all around. Okay, so you're staying in the pack for your second point. You want to look at the second row.
Yeah, absolutely, and it doesn't kind of negate from any other selection anywhere. But I love how Ryan has been playing this season. Maybe the pressure of captaincy, co-captaincy, all that sort of stuff. Maybe that's kind of off his shoulders now. And maybe it's making him a bit angry because there's been a couple of really, really aggressive plays from him, which are great to see. It's kind of harking back to, that season where he went unbeaten everywhere he went. And Big Joe is just the man at the moment. You got to get similar to Byrne. You got to get him on the pitch. I think they're going to work well together. They play slightly different games, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think Ryan has the potential to play his best season this year, which is insane considering his first season where he was unbeaten for a season and a half. I think he's got it in him if he can stay fit to really put a shift in.
Absolutely, he really. I mean, we've seen some amazing performances from him over the years, but
Yeah.
he's still improving. I think we could say, and yeah, definitely taking the captaincy off has helped. Yeah, and the backs, it's like what you'd call maybe our totally expected back line, I'd say. I mean, you could say you could argue maybe Henshaw could fit in there somehow. But I mean, and then there was a whole thing about Calvin Nash. He did so well in
Mm,
the Six Nations. I don't think it was a given that Hansen was just going to walk back into the team. But that said, that extra little spark, something that Mac Hansen brings. When you have him and Lowe on either wing, it's that infinite kind of possibilities of what can happen, and that's really the position where you want those kind of players, and they fit really well into the side as well. So it's good to see them. And then on the bench, obviously there were some positions where we were limited in our options. Missing Tyke Furlong. Obviously, we found out during the week that he wasn't available, but Tom O'Toole's coming in. He's on the
yeah,
bench. He can do a job. We were talking about him in our pod last weekend as well. And Rob Herring, he's really good. He's really secure lineouts. If we need some points in the closing stages, and we get lineouts in their 22. Very dependable there. Henderson brings leadership as well, coming off the bench. Connor Murray as well, and then of course, going back to that last test in South Africa. We just said, how can we pick this team again without Kieran Frawley and Jamie Osborne? I mean, just how can we do it? And they haven't done it without it. They've included them in, and I think it's totally right that they're both involved in the 23 here. And it's a really rounded out squad altogether.
I love what you've just said because it shows it's not picking on anything other than what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, they played well a couple of years ago or they had a good season, whenever. It's all everyone, a player can start picking up now and make a squad. And that's great for every single Irish qualified player. That's great for them to have week in, week out. And, Frawley's and Osborne have been immense. And we got to remember, they weren't getting their games for Leinster before Farrell, similar to JGP, similar to a couple of other players. And he sees something in them that maybe we don't. And I think as a general thing for the provinces, maybe we need to start looking at players like Andy Farrell looks at players. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were saying that at the time. I mean, they weren't guaranteed into the Leinster team
Yeah,
when we beat South Africa in the second test. So it's an amazing position to be in. But listen, it isn't, despite the obvious you'd be missing two of the expected starters out of the front row. It's still a very strong 23, and
yeah.
definitely home advantage and everything. It's definitely a lot of positives on Ireland's side. But now let's have a look at the All Blacks. After a disappointing 3 defeats in the 2024 Rugby Championship, they comfortably dispatched Japan and Yokohama before needing a late missed drop goal at Twickenham to stay ahead of England last weekend. What do you make of their team, Keego?
I think it's all between the ears with New Zealand, and that is the first time an Irish person can say that in 100 years. Like listening to the old man talk about New Zealand, they were always Everest. Whereas now we've no fear of them on the pitch, which is amazing, and they know that. And I think my only worry about the squad that they've picked. You and I went to the game after Chicago where it was beyond physical and badly refereed and things like that. That'd be my how I think New Zealand may retreat to, because they are in transition. They're trying to work their way around the new coach, and it will happen for them. But I think watching them against England, there were creaks in there that we could work on. But I do feel they're going to try and overpower us on and off the ball, if you like. Hopefully within the realms of the rules. But I feel that's what that squad is going to try and do. They'll revert to it if we can start quickly, they'll revert to this physical cheekiness. And if they can get away with it with the referee, I feel that they're going to push it even further because they know they're not quite the full product yet. Massive skill levels everywhere, and it's not that. It's the coach wanting to put his own stamp on the team, which you understand, and it will happen. But I feel that they will revert to type when they see what Ireland are doing. If we can show up early, they're going to revert to type, and it's not going to be as physically dangerous as that game in the Aviva was. I can't remember the year now, but they will go in that direction, and I think that's something we need to be prepared for.
Yeah, I mean the thing with playing New Zealand these days for us now, I mean you can include that rugby quarterfinal in that, as in we're talking about how we feel going into the game. It's
Mm.
not about you look at their team and go, oh, there's not that intimidation. Now that doesn't all come from them. That doesn't all come from regression on their side. It comes from an improvement on our side. Most importantly, in the belief. Of course, we as fans, we're going to be tentative. We're always kind of tentative going into these games. But the belief that Andy Farrell's put in his team, they know that that there's expectations of Ireland from New Zealand as well. They're looking at the Irish team going, they're going to be tough here, they're going to be tough
Mm-hmm.
there. And you can look at this team and say, okay, listen, they performed really well in the scrum against England. They won a lot of scrums. And they put them under a hell of a lot of pressure for the full 80 minutes. And of course, they're missing Tadhg Furlong. There's question marks there. But the thing about Ireland now is we didn't get that number one ranking by accident. It's a team might have a nudge on you in the scrums, but there's 5 or 6 other areas where we're making up for it as well. So I think Jamison Gibson Park has a chance to really run this game if he can. Obviously with Crowley as well, but I think Gibson Park is the momentum setter, he's the tempo setter of the team, and I think he's got an opportunity now to show that again on Friday. So there's a lot of possibilities there. They're not as intimidating as they were, but that's not all just about them. It's about how Ireland improved,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so listen, first now a quick look at the officials. We've got Nick Berry holding the referee's whistle. And as you see there, we've got 5 names there. Ben Whitehouse is that says FPRO, that's foul play review official. Just personally, I think that is a perfect role for Ben, because what Ben tends to do, I'm not saying he's a bad ref by any manner or means, but he often tends to introduce information that wasn't necessarily asked for, and I think in this role, he can't do that. The plays have to be sent to him, and then he makes a judgment. So maybe he's found his calling, his perfect role there. But listen, there's a lot of talk about the officials and the 20-minute red cards and all this kind of stuff, and we hope that it doesn't affect the game. But anyway, listen, we've got Nick Berry, he's a good ref there, Australian, holding the whistle there. So we'll see how that goes. The weather for Dublin 4 on Friday evening, it seems perfect for rugby. Low clouds, 12 degrees. That's mild enough. Little or no wind, 10% chance of rain. I think that's pretty good as far as I'm concerned. You couldn't ask for much better for Dublin in November, that's for sure. Okay, Keego. So now we'll just maybe take a quick look at what else is going on in the Autumn Nation series this weekend. What match stands out for you?
I similar to when we talk about Munster, I'm going to make friends with our English brothers and sisters. I'm enjoying what they're trying to do. I'm not a fan of their coach, but I'm a fan of the squad that he has put together. It's unfortunate that Felix has been asked to leave or walked out, whatever the word is. So I enjoyed their game against New Zealand. I'm enjoying what's going to happen in the Six Nations when we play them. So I'll be watching England this weekend. Now, because I'm away, I've only booked the telly for the Ireland match. I found a channel for it here, NBC Sports 14 or whatever it is. We'll have it on.
With American commentary.
I can't wait. I am going to report back next week on American commentary.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. But yeah, it'll be a game and a half for me this weekend. Obviously Ireland, and then I'll get as much of England as I can.
Very, very good. And of course, they're playing in Australia. It's so there's a sort of a subtext with this series of the Lions tour. Of course, things Australia, to be kind, you say they're kind of going through transition at the moment. I think that's the kindest way of putting it. But they're actually playing all 4 of the Lions nations over the next 4 weeks. And when they play us, it'll probably be without their French top 14 players. But it'll be interesting to see where they're at ahead of a Lions tour. So that's definitely an interesting game for sure.
Okay. That's a Joe Schmidt ploy. That's very clever.
Absolutely. Okay, so listen, now it's head on the block time. Keego, how do you see it going on Friday?
I think it's Ireland, and I think it's one score. I don't think it's massive. I think it's one score. I think it might be Frawley sinking the kick at the end to help us relax a wee bit. But I think it's going to be a big start and a good performance and a one score win for Ireland.
That'll definitely do for me. Okay, listen, man, we're going to leave it there. Many thanks for joining us. Now you're in the States now. What stand-up gigs do you have coming up?
So I finished the run of gigs over here, and then I arrive back home Sunday morning, and then Sunday evening I'm out to Dunleary Comedy Festival. So we're going to see if I can stay awake for that. And then December 5th and 6th are the next big ones.
Brilliant stuff. Well, of course, you can find all the links to all Keego stuff in the program notes. Okay, so many thanks to you all for checking out our latest preview show. Be sure to enjoy the match wherever you are and leave a comment on our Facebook page after the full-time whistle. We will, of course, have a wrap pod for you this week, recording on Sunday evening. Hopefully, you'll help us out by liking, sharing, and subscribing. In the meantime, stay safe, everyone. Slán.